Hello everyone, this is Yours Trivia. Welcome back to another episode of our Dive Diary for our multiplayer balance mod, as we'll be continuing with our last batch of generals in the Nanman characters. And these characters are made from the DLC where they have very standardized stats, where everyone has 44% armor, and the stat line's very similar across the board. And we're just trying to give them more character, as these characters are mainly from Romance of Three Kingdoms, as in they're fictional, with very unique design in the novel. And we want to reflect that in this change. And starting with King Duosi, he is a poison user in the story, and we'll reflect that in his character design in our mod. First up, in terms of cost, he's going to go from 1500 to 1800, as all the characters have 1500 cost, which is way too cheap. There will be no option to give him an elephant. We'll reserve that for certain characters, as in we'll lock in 2 of the 6 Nanman generals to only come with elephant mounts to make them slightly different in design. And then for weapon, Eater of Courage is a very weird choice for a commander slash strategist like King Duosi. So we'll be swapping that to Swarm Brothers. His bow, the Black Dragon, the elite gold bow, is going to get swapped to our Yanbai bow, which is the poison bow that we're going to make for this mod. If you don't remember, refer back to Yanbai character change. Basically, this bow will do less damage than the regular poison arrows, but it's a great way to whittle down enemy infantry. Then for base charge, we're going to use the strategist as our mark, since he has the black elite. It's going to go down from 116 to 26 base charge bonus. Armor is going to drop from 44 to 20 as he's wearing a robe. And in terms of abilities, his first ability is Subdue. It's not very good. We're going to swap this with Poison Volley to reflect the fact that he's a poison character. Then for his other 2 ability, Nature's Protection and Endless Volley, we just need to make a small correction to their cooldown. It's 121 for some reason in the game, and that's just a weird number. We're just changing that back to 120. Nothing major here. Both of these abilities are quite good, and they fit the commander style of boosting nearby units with this 30-second duration, 120-second cooldown style that matches many of the commander abilities in the game. Then moving on to King Meng Huo. We will see that he'll be locked in with the elephant. His cost will be 2,700. And the reason why we want to lock him in with this elephant is because we want to make him a bit different from Zhurong, so that when you pick the pair of them for the Power of Love passive, they will be slightly harder to use in Tangent, because their speed will be different, their attack pattern will be different, one will be more character-focused dueling, and Meng Huo will be more of a ramming into enemy infantry type ability. Speaking of ramming into enemy abilities, we're changing his charge from 116 to 276, which matches the Vanguard to take advantage of his elephant. His weapon will be changed from Swarm Brothers to Eater of Courage, because this will slow down his attack speed. It actually wouldn't change his attack damage, because his damage would just be the gold elephant damage. And you can see the 3 elephant abilities down below. These will not be changed, as they are quite useful with decent cooldown setups and effects. Then moving on to his other abilities, which are not passive abilities and thus not usable on an elephant, we'll be shifting them to make them more viable for his new elephant-only design, where Crippling Blow will become Nature's Ally, and then Defiant Cry will become Fury. Both of these will grant him extra speed, morale for nearby unit, to make him the king figure for the main Nanman factions. Lastly, he'll keep his 2 basic passive abilities, Power of Love and Bold Command. These will be the same. And he'll have a lot of ways to boost nearby units' morale, very useful for that, but he might want to charge on ahead with his elephant as well. It's a very strong character, and it's reflected by the price. Then moving on to King Mulu, who is the other elephant user. He is known as the elephant user in the novel. His cost will be 2,400. As he won't have as many good passives. He will have the same high charge bonus of 276, which will make his elephant more useful. Same abilities from the elephants. He has Fury as one of his passive abilities. Then for his other active abilities, we're going to change Crippling Blow once again to Nature's Ally, and Expose to Bold Command. So he's going to be very similar to Meng Huo, but without the power of love potential, which is why you'll see his cost being slightly lower. And these two generals will be the only ones with the elephant. Then moving on to King Shamoke, we have his cost at 2400. He's going to get a huge health boost from 25k to 54k, as I want to make him more like a champion. And then his charge is going to be 161 for the same reason. And he won't be getting an attack speed boost as he's using a mace. So back to 0%, which will reflect to about 20 attack rate. Then blow for blow, his normal ability, will change its cost from 10% to 5%. Because essentially this is the same ability that Hejin has, but Hejin's cost is only 5% health. It's quite unfair, especially since he has a higher base health, to make it cost 10%. So it's going to be shifted down to 5% to give him a bit more power, as we're taking away plenty of attack speed from him. Then for his next ability, the Southern Wrath, will be shifting his cooldown from 121 seconds to 60 seconds, as this closely matches with abilities such as Hamstring, Flame of the Phoenix type, which does not have a 120 second cooldown. 60 makes way more sense, especially with a long duration, which increases the overall cooldown periods, as cooldown do not reset until the duration ends. So essentially this is a 90 second cycle. 150 seconds just makes no sense for a 2.2k splash damage ability. Then for Swift Steps, his other ability will just correct the 121 seconds to 120 seconds, and nothing else really needs to be shifted here. Then moving on to King Wutugu, cost will go up to 2100, morale is actually going to go down to 45, and armor is going to go up to 100. This is a reflection of his character design from the novel, where he wears the rattan armor that's impenetrable, which is why his armor is going to go all the way up to 100, but to compensate for this, we'll lower his morale to 45, so you have a multitude of ways of attacking him. His 3 abilities are all very good and do not need any changes whatsoever, so the stat and cost changes are the only changes you'll see on him. And then moving on to Lady Zhurong, cost increased to 2400. She will lose her attack speed because she's using a mace. Now, to be fair here, King Wutugu before did not lose his attack speed, but he only has 40k health and he's designed closer to a sentinel using a better weapon. For Lady Zhurong here, her weapon's way too good, so dropping her attack speed makes things more fair. She has a flying dagger ability which does not need to be changed. Power level will stay the same as well. The abilities that will see some change will be Rending Strike and Defiant Cry. Both of these have very similar Han ability counterparts, and 121 seconds, much like Southern Wrath, makes no sense, so we're lowering it down to 60 seconds, and that's the only changes we'll make to the Nanman generals. There is one more dive diary coming next week, and it will reflect unit changes. I am not in favor of changing the stats on units. I believe it's too hard to remember for players to relearn the units. Rather, we'll be shifting the cost and availability of the units. So for example, for these Nanman generals here, we'll be following their fealty units much closer in multiplayer. So instead of having all 6 generals have elephants available to them, we'll shift elephants only on a few of them, much like the game, and it will make the character selection process in Nanman generals much more fair in the multiplayer setting. In addition, certain cost imbalances, such as Zhang Jiao's cavalry, will be increased because they're way too cheap for what they bring, and we'll detail those changes in the next and final dive diary, and after that, we'll be pushing to have the mod available over the holidays so players can try it out, and hopefully we'll hit that subscriber milestone soon to start our next tournament. So with all that said, hopefully you guys enjoy these changes. As always, if you disagree with anything, feel free to write down your suggestion in the comment section below, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, bye!